Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So today Imam Nawawi and Imam Qurtubi will refute Shamsi in what he's going to mention about dua. Let's listen.
Secondly, any person with a fitrah, what we do when you feel depressed, you say, "Oh Allah, forgive me."
So what he's trying to prove is that Allah's above with his essence. So he's above with his essence, whereas the Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, we don't believe this. We don't believe that he's above in his essence, in the sense that he's in a direction, or he's above the throne with his essence, because then that's limiting God. So we don't believe this. We believe that Allah is where he was, where he has always been. So he's trying to say that because we make our dua and we maybe look towards the sky, or maybe to make our hands towards the sky, that somehow means that God is in that place. He's above us in that direction. However, that's incorrect, and I'll come to why that's incorrect. But first, let's listen to him. And funnily enough, he actually chokes when he mentions this point.
Mention that Allah is above His creation. Secondly, any person with a fitrah, what we do when you feel depressed, you say, "Oh Allah, forgive me." Wait, man. You don't say, "Oh Allah."
He's pretty much his voice went, or he choked, or whatever it is.
كما قال ابن القيم رحمه الله تعالى لابن تيميه بارك الله فيك جزاك الله خير بسم الله. جزاك الله خير. سقاك الله من الكوثر وإيانا جميعا. all of us. اللهم آمين. بيد نبيه المصطفى عليه الصلاة والسلام وإيانا. So my point أخي, that fitratan you raise your hand to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, we don't like Asha'ira and other than them. Manhaj al-Salaf.
Okay, so that was his point. He used that as an evidence to say God is with his essence above. Now let me show you why Imam Nawawi and Imam Qurtubi refute Shamsi. Okay, so here Imam Nawawi, he mentions that when those who maintain the uniqueness of Allah supplicate, they turn to the sky, just as when they pray, they face the Kaaba. So when we pray, we face the Kaaba. Yet that does not mean that Allah is located in the sky, just as it does not mean that He's located in the direction of the Kaaba. Rather, they turn, in brackets, their attention or their hands to the sky, because the sky is the prescribed direction of orientation, so the Qibla. Just as the Kaaba is a prescribed direction of Qibla for the ritual salah, for the ritual prayer. So Imam Nawawi is saying that, look, like just the way we face the Kaaba, God is not there. Likewise, if you're gonna make dua and you're looking towards the sky and you're pointing towards the sky, it does not make it such that God is there now. Now, you can see how he reached that conclusion. It's a logical conclusion. And Imam Nawawi is greater than any modern Salafi, bro. Okay, so Imam Qurtubi also, he mentions also, he says the description of ulu, the aboveness, and grandeur are not in the sense of a place. So when we say Allah is high, He's the greatest or high, we don't mean this is a certain direction, or it's like a highness in a direction or in a place. So Imam Qurtubi mentions that it's not a sense of place, direction, or of limits, as these are the qualities of bodies. So these are qualities of bodies, because we are confined by direction, north, east, south, west, and whatnot, up, down, left, right. So God cannot have the same qualities because of the principle of laysa kamithlihi shay. So Imam Qurtubi says, during supplication, the hands are only raised towards heavens, because this is a place from where revelation descends and rain falls, the place of purity where the pure angels reside, and the deeds of creation are raised towards it. And over the heaven is His arsh and paradise, just like Allah has made the Kaaba the direction for supplication and prayer. This is because Allah has created the created place, and He is not in need of place Himself. He was in His beginningless eternity, like for eternal, before creating space and time. So He was always there when there was no place or time, and He is now as He was. So this should be clear. And also, when we make dua, there's different ways of making dua. There's a prayer for rain, where the hands are actually left down. And let me show you that. Alright, so here you can see like Ibn Hajar and Imam Nawawi mention how the Prophet used to make dua, and they mention like he would raise both hands, and they also mention different types of way of making dua. He said he would have his palms facing the sky, and then they mention an exception where during the rain prayer they would have the palms facing the ground. Imam Nawawi mentions that some scholars regard it as recommended sunnah to have one's palms facing the sky in supplication when asking for the attainment of something. So yeah, there's different ways of making dua. There's even if you can just make dua by just walking and make dua without raising the hands, so that's permissible too. So that should be clear in this regard, that Shamsi's point by just saying that we point our hands upwards when making dua is invalid to establish that God is above in essence, in a direction, in a place. So yeah, that should be clear.